And let me get the invite out. Maybe my brother would join me. I did keep him up late last night, though, so who knows? Man, oh man. What a game last night. Excuse me. Let me tell Gilded to go away. I don't like it. It's like, go away, Gilded. And then let me. No, I was doing it right. Go to my Discord and do what? I've basically started copying Shadow now. Every time I do a live stream, I put the link in so that people on my Discord can see where it is. Okay, what did I just do? I just put the live stream link in twice instead of hitting enter the one time. So let's see. Is that right? Yep, there it is. So anyone on the server who wants to go on live stream, miniatures and terrain. Kyle and some other guys have been doing so many wonder. Oh, that is so nice. Satya painted up like a Gandalf on a pony-driven cart. Look at Satya; he's kicking ass over here. I mean, I can't show you, but those of you who are on my Discord, you'll see it. And Cal's always killing it. I've been painting up so many miniatures. I have not taken any pictures of them, and I need to start doing that again. Hey, happy Sunday to you, Daniel. I hope you're doing well, sir. But yeah, I definitely should start actually contributing to my own channel because I have painted up a ton of stuff. I've got like a couple of these giant catfish painted up. I got the Ghoul King painted up. I'm working on this giant two-headed troll. And by working on, I mean I've just been ignoring it for a while. I need to just go ahead and paint the damn thing. It wouldn't be that hard. It's just a matter of I get distracted. Like right now, I was distracted by this Zeus model, which is already done up in the base desert color. And I'm sitting here wondering if I want to go over it with a little bit of chocolate brown and uh, other, like a darker brown or a red brown, just to give it, more of a camouflage desert, whatever appearance. And that again would be super easy because these contrast paints, actually, believe it or not, on mechs, they make camoing your mech pretty easy. You just got to figure out whether you're doing like blotches or tiger stripes or whatever you're doing, and then just do it. And because the contrast paints have a tendency to flow on really well and to shadow themselves, put their own shade in, uh, they look pretty good, you know. So that's what I'm doing. Somehow or another, on my paint desk, I ended up with like three Zeuses, which is kind of wild. It's like three. It's not even a mech I normally would ever use. At that tonnage, I would be much more likely given the choice. Now, if I had to take it randomly, I happily would, but given a choice, I would much rather have an awesome or, well, an awesome for sure. I don't know what else, you know, given the choice. And the awesome would actually save tonnage too, because I think yeah, I think the Zeus is like 85 tons and the awesome is like 80. So I don't know. I'd take the awesome for sure. If I wanted to be really whatever, I'd take the variant of the awesome that gets rid of one of the PPCs and trades it for a couple of SRM6s. Yeah, so now for those of you who care, I recently put out a video, and it's part 2 of the Will It Hyperborea series, where I go over the Lost City. Now, honestly, there's a bad thing to doing these videos. I've learned, and that bad thing is that some of them are just too easy, you know. So it's like there's just not that much to talk about, you know. I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, you know, you change out these gods for these gods, maybe or not. You know, you don't really have to. You could play it as written. You know, you do this and this. You know, biggity bang, Bob's your uncle, and you're good to go, right? So that is really the thing. X1, B4 are not at all very challenging to convert to run with Hyperborea. They just really aren't, you know, other than having to ditch some of the humanoids like the hobgoblins and stuff like that. It's the height of easy. And there's so many other monsters that could fit in where you remove, you know, whatever, that it's just like, now if I run B4, and who knows, I might run the Lost City for my group, I'm going to have to up the power level of all the monsters in it because we've been playing for like 6 months. So we've got some level 4 characters, you know, maybe even some of the thieves might have hit level 5. I know the cleric's still a good ways away because I did his XP for him last night. He was tired. So, yeah. Um, okay. So that's pretty good. See, so with just a little bit of contrast, we've thrown some dark on it. And now I think what I will do is I'll actually throw red brown on it. The red brown I think will make it pop, make it look like maybe it's ready for autumn or action in a area that's got a lot of um, clay or whatever, you know. Okay, so and my red brown, my go-to red brown is ruddy fur. That's kind of the go-to red brown for me. It's good red brown, you know. And it's right here. It is. So Gucci, man, every time, and it's not your fault. It's my fault for being the way that I am. But every time I see your name, I immediately think rock and roll, hoochie, hoochie. Yeah, Bruce and everybody's favorite alien from another planet, Janet. They are currently watching Kelly's Heroes or talking about it. Definitely one of my favorite Clint Eastwood movies. Yeah, huge fan of it. Now, I don't know if they've watched Outlaw Josie Wells yet. That is 100% my favorite Clint Eastwood directed movie. Even though, if you like musicals a little bit, Jersey Boys, which is about Ricky Valley and Four Seasons, that was also directed by Clint Eastwood. So, you know, if you want to listen to, you know, Sherry, Sherry, baby, Sherry. Except when I sing it, I always put my wife's name there because that's That's just a fun little thing I like to do. Sometimes it doesn't make any sense, but like earlier though, I was listening to one of my favorite 80s slash 90s guys, Billy Idol. White Wedding came on, and I just interjected Tracy with Little Sister. So it's like, hey, little Tracy, who's your Superman? Oh yeah. I know that I'm not a great singer, and yet I still love to sing. Isn't that ironic? Don't you think? Just a little too ironic. Well, except it wasn't ironic. Most of the stuff she mentions is not ironic, it's coincidence. And coincidence is totally different from irony. Yeah, Kelly's Hero is great, man. Like, and all the actors in it are good. Like, it's just a really well written, well done movie. And they don't tell you, Clint Eastwood is like that. Like, if you watch The Man with No Name stories, they never really tell you what Blondie's actual situation is. Like, who is he? Where did he come from? What is he doing? How did he end up becoming a gunslinger? You just never know that. He's just the man with no name. You don't even know his name, right? And in Kelly's Heroes, you know his name is Kelly, but they kind of insinuate that he might have been an officer. And now somehow he's like a private or a corporal. And then, of course, Telly Savalas is great, as the old bitter sergeant. And you got the comedian Winkles or whatever, and he's funny. Pretty much just everyone's funny. Shannon, uh, or Carol O'Connor. I wanted to say Shannon because of my uncle Shannon, but Carol O'Connor. The whole part where Carol O'Connor picks up their radio signals, to me, that's like one of the best parts of the whole movie. Yep, Dirty Dozen. Yeah. Except Telly Savalas in the Dirty Dozen, if I'm remembering right, he was like a serial killer or something. He wasn't very good at all. He was like just went nuts. He's just yeah, stabbed that German woman and freaking just went nuts. So I threw the red brown on this guy. So you can see how a lot of the original desert color is just spots now because of all the brown and the red. But that's actually not a bad camo pattern for this guy. Well, Donald Sutherland, it is my opinion, is pretty much good in everything. That's, whether you're talking about the pod people thing, the or the one where it's like the weird aliens that hook to the back of your, and control you. I mean, yeah, Donald Sutherland is just a good actor. I mean, that guy is just really good. Oi, Steven. Oi, oi, oi. Zigzag, zigzag. Oi, oi. Remember that back when what's his name? Kimmel was funny. I do. Like I know he's embarrassed of it now, but I'll tell you what, when he used to do the what was it, Carl Malone or whatever skits, that shit was hilarious. And now, of course, he cries and apologizes for everything. That goofball. He should have stayed with what's his name and just kept being funny, but some people, right? Just no account for taste. That was him and what's his name? He does the freaking podcast now, and is still funny. Played it last night. Oh my goodness, what a mess! A battle to the death. Mistakes were made. All right, it says, hold on, we're connecting to your channel. Who is connecting to my channel? That's what I want to know. Chat is goofing off or something. I don't know, but happens. Uh, so anyway, well, that's okay. Now it's gone. They went on the adventure. They went back to the dungeon. They realized that because of the way things happened, the whole reason they went to the town to get the job to put an end to the cannibals they had already done before they even talked to the people who were trying to hire them. So, of course, the people that were trying to hire somebody to put an end to the cannibal cult refused to pay them because why would you pay somebody for doing a job, if you don't have to, I guess. You got to remember, most of the people up in that town, Zimbala, are assholes anyway. So the players rolled in and handled the cannibal situation before they even got hired to handle the cannibal situation. So of course the city fathers are like, "Well, sorry about your luck." Yeah, yeah. It's only technically true because when I was in Iraq, the Ba'ath Party is actually the Iraqi National Socialist Party. But hey, one socialist is as good as another as far as I'm concerned. So there you go. Um, so not only did they not get paid for the job that they paid a ton of money. What's up, Dan Bloodworth? How you doing, brother? They paid a ton of money to even get there. They didn't get paid, so they only got whatever loot they got. Then they had to spend a month of downtime because one character got seriously bushwhacked and lost almost all of his con. And the other character really, really wanted to research a new spell because he went up a level. So it cost them a couple hundred gold to stay there for the month because they chose to stay at one of the fancy high-end hotels there or taverns. And then they went back to the dungeon and jumped through a damn portal and ended up at the foot of Mount Vermithoan with no way back. They spent a lot of their time uh, journeying across. They spent a lot of their time trying not to get killed, journeying through the Spiral Mountains, and eventually made it to the coast. Took them 20 days, and which I kind of fast traveled. By fast traveled, I just mean I wrote a lot of Wandering Monster stuff and uh, figured out how long it would take them to journey and tried to speed through that as quick as possible. And they ended up getting back to the town where they had stored the cleric's mammoth. So they were pretty happy. The cleric, for some reason, named the mammoth Fuzzy Butt, and they were pretty happy. And they decided to take like a week off there. And since they had all this downtime, I make them roll on the sword sorcery downtime charts that uh, Northwind Studios put out. And one of the women in the party, the assassin, she rolled and got a duel. She got challenged to a duel to the death, right? Like, so the next day she had to go outside of the gates of the city and fight this guy to the death. He's a big, big freaking Celt. Uh, Turned out he looked like a warrior, but he was actually a cleric of Yandala. But whatever, it doesn't matter, right? So I decided, trying to be a nice guy, because, I like to be a nice guy when I can, and it bit me in the ass. I decided, I'm going to ask her, what did you possibly do that made this guy want to fight you to the death? And the lady, in real life, a lady sitting at my table says, well, because she had gotten really hammered. She drank like 2 bottles of plum wine by herself, right? And her reasoning for the duel happening was she took this guy out back of the tavern and was going to have sex with him. And then when he took his pants off, she made fun of the size of his stuff, which of course drove him into a furious rage. The duel. No one ended up dying though, because she basically scared him off. She has a shield that causes, fear when activated. And he failed to save and decided to back down and whatever. But like after she said why he wanted to fight her, I just looked at her and I was just like, I kind of feel bad for that guy.
I
Like,
feel bad for
why
him
would you?
too.
It's like, why would you do that? Of everything you could do to start a duel with somebody.
You know, James,
Y-
isn't it bad that your player bad for a fictional character?
Yeah, I'm like, but then I thought, well, he is a Celt, and we all know about the Irish curse, so I guess it makes sense, you know. And for those of you who don't know about the Irish curse, you probably now you do. You do know about the Irish curse. So that is the shit that goes on in my Hyperborea campaign. The Amazon insults some guy's wang and ends up getting challenged to a duel to the death. They get teleported into the mountains, at the Spiral Mountains. They hide in some woods and try to camp out. They get attacked by a shit ton of Draugr, um, which a couple of them very nearly died. One of them almost died from friendly fire. Um, So yeah, I mean, I'm just really glossing over everything that actually happened because the players themselves were talking back and forth a lot in game because I made them. Because I tell them, look, I don't like a lot of table talk between characters. So if you're trying to say something to somebody in characters, say it in character. You know, if you're trying to say something involving game rules and stuff, that's different, right? So the thing that scared them the most about the game was the Draugr. There were 10 of them, 9 warriors and a shaman type. And as the Draugr were sneaking up on the player, hello, last name Kennedy. Yeah, Kennedy. Sorry, bro. Sorry. I got a Mick last name too, bro. It just happens that I'm 80% German and Scandinavian somehow. Uh, You tell me. My whole life, I thought I was Scots Irish and Irish because of my
My
name
name
and
McGee.
everything. And then I got a DNA test, and it's like, well, isn't that something? And immediately, I just felt like this weird desire to sing Erica like all the time. Just like
It's a good
dun
song.
dun
I like it.
dun 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 dun.
Da,
Yeah,
da, 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 da,
right.
da, da.
Yeah.
It's a good song. I like it.
On the mountains, there's a beautiful woman in the
Yeah.
flowers, surrounded by the bees, and her name is Erica. Hey, it's basically what the Mulan song was based on.
Yeah.
Because what do we really want? A girl worth fighting for. And Erica is just a world. It's actually a pre-World War One German song about a beautiful woman worth fighting for and dying for. But anyway,
I also like
I'm getting
Katusha too.
sidetracked. But
The
they
song's a little bit weird,
encountered
but
men of Ling and got ripped off. They got their whole asses ripped off. It was like the scouts snuck up and saw a bunch of men of Ling, which are basically like satyrs, but they never talk. They play panpipes, and they were all standing around in a circle looking at this dead Eskimo. And the scout was like, "What in the hell is going on here?" Right? So he snuck back to the party to tell them, and one of the men of Ling noticed. So when they decided we're going to leave that shit alone, right? We don't know what they're doing. We're just going to go on, right? So as they start going on, one of the men of Ling come hopping because they kind of hop when they run, and he hopped up to him and he was playing his pipe because that's kind of how they communicate, right? And none of the players had any idea what this guy was talking about. So he started doing hand motions like drinking, and they offered him water, and he like tucked the skin of water, just threw it on the ground, and he's like, no. So then the cleric had a couple of gallon wineskins full of wine, and he gave him one, and the man of Ling smelled it, and he liked it, and then he said two, and he held up his hand, and he had like a whole handful of small gemstones, like spinels and you name it, right? So they gave the man of Ling the two gems or the 2 gallons of wine, and he gave them the gemstones. And then, like an hour later, when they went through their pouch, they just found a bunch of rocks. they're like, they're like that bastard,
That bastard.
because he'd glamored those stones to make them look like gems, and
Jewels
they were
and
just
gems, and I
rocks.
thought, no, they're just rocks.
And took their freaking wine, and apparently went back into the wadi because they were in a wadi because they're in the middle of the desert, right? And but it's the frozen desert in the north, and so the players never did know whatever happened with them after they left. But they found a door and they opened it, and on the other side of the door was just a wall that looked like mercury, like quicksilver. And they threw a rock through it, and it kind of flexed. So think Stargate. And they sat there and argued back and forth about it. And finally, the cleric, because he's very, let's say, impetuous, rambunctious, kind of an asshole, whatever word you want to use, he was like, F it, I'm going through. So he jumps through, and he's standing in this valley in the middle of the spiral mountains, freezing. And he looks around, and he's like, is there a gate back? And he's like, no. And you're at the foot of Mount Vermithella. And which is a massive mountain. It's taller than any mountain on earth. It's just freaking, forget about it. Huge, right? And so the scout sticks his staff in halfway, and about then, the cleric's standing there, and he sees half of a staff just materialize and fall to the ground. And the scout pulls the staff back, and it's gone. And he's like, "Oh shit!" So they're all stressing. They're like, "Did he just get disintegrated? Did he just?" I mean, and they thought about it a lot, and eventually they're like, "Well, let's go through." And they went through, and yeah. And then that's when the whole Draugr thing happened, which, basically super zombies. Those of you who don't know, and I'm sure most of you in chat know what a Draugr is.
Yeah, I fought a few.
Right.
I turned
And,
one of their legs into, one of their foot into a rabbit.
well, these Draugr, they ran into the forest to try to get out of the wind. And they found a little area, and they set up a windbreak. Exactly. He just Leroy
Leroy
Jenkins
Jenkins.
right in there.
That
And so the
happens.
rest of the group were mad at him for like the rest of the night because they hadn't explored the whole tomb. And they're like, you know how players' minds work. They're just
Yeah,
sure right around the very next corner was going to be the motherlode of all the treasure in the world, right?
it could, or it could be death.
It could, but they're not. Hey, what's up, Nerdy Ogre? But now they'll never know because it teleported them somewhere around 2,000 miles away from where they started. And so they're all pissed. They set up the windbreak. They set up their fire. The Draugr see the fire from the tomb where they all were. The players never knew there was a tomb because they couldn't only see but 30 feet away from the fire, right? And the only thing that saved them is as they were approaching, one of the Draugr stepped on a twig and it snapped. And the Greek warlock was on guard duty and he heard it. But
like
now getting to what scared the shit out of them. And if you ever run a game, this is something you could try and see how it works out. The rune carver casts silence in like a 30-foot radius bullshit. So the players are talking, and all of a sudden I just tell them, you can't hear each other anymore. And they're like looking at me like, what? And I said, yeah, it's silent. You can't hear nothing. You can't hear each other. When you walk, you don't hear your feet crunching.
Oh boy, yeah, the silence.
You hear nothing. And the players started losing their minds. They're like, what the? So the mage just takes off running. And he runs until he can hear his feet crunching the snow and the leaves again. And then he stops and he's trying to figure out how to end the silent spell. And about then, the Draugrs all come running in. And they're all using these pitted, ancient, two-handed axes and shit. So when they're hitting on like their fight ability was like a +4, which is actually pretty damn good for a monster. Yeah. They had 15 hit points each. and they're hitting for 1 die 10 plus 2 damage.
That's not bad. That's,
Not bad.
that's
I
not the
mean, the
scariest
assassin
part
has
of the.
20 damage.
That
20
wasn't
hits.
the. Yeah, that's not the scariest point of Draugr in my game. You know what made the Draugr scary in my game?
No, what?
When you hit them, they would release poison in the air.
Ooh.
Oh
Ooh.
yeah,
Yeah.
which
Ooh.
was weird for me because instead of getting poisoned, I just get drunk.
Yeah, but no, see, in this game, Draugr are basically whites without the health drain.
Yeah.
So, but they're or as I kind of told the players when they're asking, I was like, think very powerful zombies that remember how to fight. So they're not just like, no, these bastards are moving quick. They remember how to use their equipment, right?
That's also true. Yeah.
And they hate the living with a white
Hmm.
hot passion. They just freaking hate them, right? So they're fighting the Draugrs. Um,
Now maybe that was because ours was a special type of Draugr. I don't know.
it could be. And here's what was making it rough for a bit is the one Draugr could animate the Draugrs that died.
Oh, you gotta take away
So,
that animating
like,
Draugr
there's one,
first.
the cleric runs up and just nat 20s a Draugr with his two-handed axe. So that's 1 die 10 plus whatever crit. And the crit can be either plus 2 damage, times 2 damage, or times 3 damage. Because you random in Hyperborea to see how good the crit is, right?
Mm.
So he runs up and just crushes this Draugr in the head, and the spellcasters just, you know, and everybody's like, these guys are like White Walkers, and I'm like, yeah, because R.R. Howard stole everything from something else. The White Walkers were just Draugr coming from the frozen north, right? They're like, yeah, that makes sense. And I was like, yeah. So once they got their head around that, they even got more scared. So they started doing everything they could to try to kill the caster. And the Draugr just run around. And remember now, the Draugr are 3 hit die. The caster's 5 hit die. Half of the group is level 3 because they're all playing like subclasses that take forever to level up. So, like,
Ooh, fun.
yeah, the Berserker's a badass for sure, but it takes her twice as long to level as it does the scout, the assassin, the cleric. So you've got some characters that are level 4 or 5, and then you've still got some level 3s. The warlock, I always say the Greek warrior. The reality is he's actually a Lycodamian warlock, which means he's a fighter mage and he's Spartan. Lycodamia is the island that Sparta was on. That's why Spartans always had the lambda symbol. That L stands for Lycodamia. But anyway, so he's leveling slow. He's a slow leveler too, powerful but slow. And they get into this big duke out. Eventually, they win. Like in actual time, it went pretty quick because combat in Hyperborea is really quick. Mainly because it's hard to miss. I mean, the best armored person in the group's got an armor class of 3, right? Which means most people need like a 14 to hit. And
Wow.
if you've got +3 to hit, I mean, I'd have to actually look in the book, but you see what I'm saying, though. In
Yeah.
Hyperborea, it is not hard to hit. Like, to hit an armor class 0 for a fighter at level 1, you need 19. Well, if that fighter is 4th level and has any bonuses at all, he's going to need like a 13. And that's level 0. You know what I'm saying?
Gee.
So it's like, yeah, people are getting hit and people are dying, and the cleric's running around casting his, cure moderate wound spells, which he has to touch them,
Yep.
and all
Their
that.
wound spells are touch.
And they killed all these dudes, and they're all like, okay, we're going to search them for treasure now when they finally won the battle. And the only thing they found was an amber necklace that the caster was wearing. So think, like a leather sinew from some animal that they had made like a pearl necklace, but out of rough little bits of amber, right? With a little bit of a carved medallion on it. And the warlock has the identify spell. So he identified it, necklace of protection versus cold.
Nice.
Well, they're all sitting there like, well, why in the hell is this undead guy wearing a necklace of protection versus cold? And then the mage is like, well, he probably wasn't dead when he was wearing it originally. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
that's probably
And they're
right.
like, yeah, that makes sense. He probably, when he was a caster and alive, had this necklace and thought it was great. And then somebody put a spear through it, and it was like, well, he never thought to take it off. And the NPC in the group, who is the wife of the cryomancer, um, she really wanted it. I random rolled like to see how everybody, she specifically being the NPC, felt about it. And on 2 dice 6, I rolled a 12. So she wanted it bad. And they ended up giving it to her. And being that, yes, she has to be a good and faithful wife to the Atlantean, she's a Hyperborean with all the bigotry that comes with her being a Hyperborean. So she just wanted to be comfortable because it was cold. And so she took that, put it on, and was like, ah. They're just like, okay. They're all wrapped up in their wool blankets, trying not to die. Um, yeah, but toward the end, because see, this is what you get as a DM. Maybe you shouldn't look at the player and say, okay, you got really, really drunk and you did something, and it caused somebody to challenge you to a duel to the death. Let's let you decide. You, ma'am, tell me what you did that caused this duel. That's not always a great idea, I don't think.
Fair, I guess.
Because I regretted it when I did it. As soon as she said what the duel was about, I was like, I regret ever asking you shit. you know, I was like, have you ever seen the movie Unforgiven? And she's like, no. And of course, my brother's on chat, and he's like, oh yeah. And I was like, oh yeah. Because in Unforgiving, the prostitute laughed at the cowboy's wang, and the cowboy cut her face with his Bowie knife, right? So the prostitutes hired Ed Money to kill the cowboys, and he did, and Lil Bill and pretty much everybody else that got in his way. So it was that situation, but luckily no one had to die. Just they much ran that cleric and him of the town. Now they may become reoccurring characters just because of how not happy they are with everything, the whole situation, right? But
Yeah.
so anyway, those of you on Discord, the link is there, and those of you not on Discord, the link was in chat. And those of you who want to watch a much better looking person talk about Clint Eastwood, Bruce and Janet are doing that right now.
I saw.
So you guys got choices.
Wait, are they watching Kelly's Heroes?
Kelly's Heroes.
Oh man, that's a good one.
That's a good one. And my
I was
favorite
wondering.
character in it is definitely Donald Sutherland.
Yeah, he was really good in that.
Yeah. I love it when he barks. He's like, that's my dog impression. And then
I
later
like.
he barks again. And he's like, that's my other dog impression. It's like,
I liked it whenever he bought the tank because the
yeah, he
Moriarty's
traded
like,
the German
yeah,
gold for that freaking Tiger one.
yeah. And the one guy Moriarty, he was like, "Why did you buy this tank? It's a piece of crap." And he's like, "Moriarty, it's a beautiful tank.
Yeah, he's always like,
Beautiful tank.
Moriarty, what's with the
Negative waves."
negative waves? All the
Yeah.
negative waves, Moriarty. Just imagine that bridge is there, that beautiful mother loving bridge. It's gonna be there, Moriarty. And they get there and it's blown up.
No, at first it was
He
there,
just looks
and then
at
it gets blown
Moriarty
up in
like,
front of them. And
right.
then
They get there and then it gets blown up, and you just see Don Sutherland's character just look at Moriarty. And Moriarty's like, what? I was thinking positive ways. Oh man. Listen to my friend running 5th edition. Such a giveaway game. See, when I played 5th edition, Stephen, let me tell you something. I used the 3 core books, none of the other bullshit whatsoever. I used none of the optional rules. So you didn't get any dual classing. There was no bullshit skills. There's no bullshit feats and merits. None of that shit. It was all done. And to be especially a dick, I got rid of short rests.
That's
Unless there
good.
was an ability someone could use to make you get the hit points as a short rest, there was no short rest. If you wanted to heal, it was 8 hours and you did not get all of your hit points back. You got a number of hit points equal to 1 plus your con bonus back. I ran that game for a year and a half. My players loved it. So, the question for everyone who just heard my screed about how I ran 5e, was I running 5e?
Mm, kind of.
Or was I just running old school D&D, but the players were all playing 5e generated characters?
Second one's probably a little bit more right.
Kind of that last one more, right?
Yeah, a
And
little bit.
that's why I always had a little bit of a feeling of kinship with Professor Dungeon Master, because even though he used to make all these videos about how much he loved 5e, he ran 5e the way I do. Like like in his 5e game, the max hit points anyone could get was like 35. You know,
It'd be a
like
much different game like that. I'd probably like it more.
yeah. And if you cast a spell, you had to roll die 20, and as long as you rolled 2 plus, the spell would go off. But if you rolled a 1, something terrible would happen.
Hmm.
So he didn't like really buy into the actual cast roll, but he did buy into the 5% chance of shit blowing you up. Oh, they already did it and the show is over. Well, damn.
Oh,
I was watching it earlier. I assumed it'd still be going.
yeah.
But
Well, I guess the show did go on. Just
see,
now
in
it's
my
over.
5th edition thing, character death was actually a very real thing. Because now, was it easy? No, I'll be honest. My
It's
wife
harder to kill
player.
people in fifth
Well, my
edition.
wife's character was a life cleric. She was a cleric who took the actual life scroll
Domain.
or whatever.
Yeah.
So it was like every time she attacked, somebody got the hill.
Yeah. That's what they're
And it
good
was
at.
like, so, I mean, the amount of healing she could put out, and the fact that she only had to be within 30 feet of you to heal you,
It
that
makes it a lot easier. Yep.
that makes it a lot easier to keep players alive. But yes, players still died in my game. Absolutely. They
I
still
died in a
did.
fifth edition game. It happens. It can.
Yeah, over the course of a year and a half, and the way I play without letting them have their short rests and shit. Uh, but the amount of healing, there was one battle they were fighting orcs, and it was like the druid cast the healing spirit thing. You know, it puts like
A little
a
thing
little
that they
thing
can run
out,
in
and
and out
everyone
of.
within 5 feet of it gets automatically 1d6 healing every round for however many rounds the thing is out. And then you've got the life cleric, and every time she swings an axe at something, well, spear, she used a spear, someone of her choice can heal 1d6. And that's without her even casting her heal spells, which were nuts, you know, like chain healing half the group and shit. But if the healers weren't on the ball and people got in bad situations, yeah, you could die, you know.
Yeah.
4th edition, boy, I had a couple of TPKs in 4th edition, and people will be like, "Oh, 4th edition, you can't die in that game." Like, what? Yeah, better look at some of those monsters again, like that white dragon that as soon as it gets its breath weapon, and then every round you roll a die 6, and if it gets a die 6, it can breathe again, and as soon as it gets to half hit points, it automatically can breathe again. I mean, you know. So yeah, dragon will straight up kill your ass in
One thing is, I'm
4E.
surprised I haven't died in the whole RuneQuest games I've played.
Shit, everybody died in my RuneQuest game at least once.
Yeah, that's why I'm surprised. It is a much deadlier game.
Orc juicer, geesh. Yeah, that's. I mean, because you've got the stupidity, but the burliness of an orc, and then just juice him up on all kinds of crazy combat drugs and set him out. Just let him do his thing. I already told you what character I'd play in a Rifts game. I had the model around here somewhere. I might have put it in a box or gave it away, but I had a Samus pilot. So if I wanted to play if I wanted to play that is AS Okay, I'll just hold the book up because I have it here. Nerdy Ogre. It is sword, sorcery, and weird science fantasy Hyperborea. And in the old days, the sword, sorcery, whatever Hyperborea was the name of the game. But with this third printing, and this is the third edition, second printing, actually, you can tell by the color of this writing here. They no longer really call it that. Now it's just Hyperborea. But yeah, in the old days, it was called Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea. That was the full name of the game for the first and second edition. And then right here, if you do your phone here, it'll take you to Hyperborea TV, which is the web page where you can download all the free stuff and buy the stuff. And I've got a shirt from these guys, and it just shows like this black slimy thing with eyes all over it. And it says, "Oh no, it's a Shoggoth." And it's like, and I really got a kick out of that. And of course, this evil toad thing, that's Sagwa, the most commonly worshipped god amongst humans. Because, I mean, why not, right? And I think the write up is barbarian, wizard, paladin. So this chick wearing the crazy armor that the breastplate looks like some kind of demon face is a paladin. But in this game, I believe the paladin can be lawful good or lawful evil, but no other alignment. Lawful good or lawful evil. So what's funny is on the cover of the book, okay, yep, you got lawful good or fell paladins who are lawful evil. On the cover of the book, the same group of players are exploring a crabman, a wrecked crabman starship. Because the crabmen in this setting, they still like fly into space and shit. And you can see how her armor is like all like silver and good, and she's got like wings and whatever. So also she's got a shield and sword in this picture, but in this picture she's got a two-handed axe. The wizard's the same, and then the barbarian on the back he has a morning star and a long sword, but on the front he has a dagger and a battle axe. So I don't know which one is the more advanced version of the other or whatever. What's up, Big James? But yeah, so like I keep saying, those of you who don't know Hyperborea, there is no chaotic neutral, lawful neutral, neutral good, neutral evil. Those alignments do not exist. It's lawful good, lawful evil, neutral, chaotic good, chaotic evil. That's it. 5. And I keep having, when me and Shadow talk about it, I'm constantly having to explain to Shadow that neutral in Hyperborea does not mean balance. It means self-serving. You know, like you don't really give a shit about anything but pretty much yourself. Now, this is a really cool character. I like this one. And in the picture, he's got like a saber and a laser pistol or something. It's the cataphract. And of course, you can tell by the armor and everything, it's based kind of on Sassanid Persia or Eastern Rome. So this would be the knight because, yeah, everybody says that. But you know what? The only Palladium alignments I know are from the only Palladium game I've ever seriously played, and that's Advanced Recon. I took him out just before I went on, so 40 minutes ago, babe. He peed. The barbarian in this game is really good. The negative, though, is, again, slow leveling. But being able to start the game with like a bonus in every saving throw and die 12 for hit die, pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. But yeah, it takes you about half again as much XP to level as it would a normal fighter. But look at this ability. This is such a cool ability that they gave the barbarian. If someone in your group gets hit with venom, which is anything that gets injected into you by an animal. The barbarian can roll his dice 6, and he has a 3 and 6 chance if he jumps on you within 2 rounds of negating the poison, because he draws it out of you. And of course, it gets more difficult the longer the time passes. The barbarian has horsemanship. I didn't even know that. He can leap 25 feet, more if unencumbered. He gets moved silently. He's got a base run of 50 if he's lightly armored. He can sense magic. He just don't ever want to use it. He can track. He's good at ambushing. He's got alertness. He's agile, which means if he's unarmored, he gets a bonus to his armor class. But he can use a shield. So if he's got a large shield and he's unarmored, he gets +3 to his armor class. So his starting armor class would be a 6. I mean, that's not bad for a guy running around buck naked with a shield.
Yeah.
And that's not counting the dex bonus if he has one. But the barbarian must be chaotic good or chaotic evil. They can use any weapons. Oh, and their attributes, they have to have a 13 strength, a 13 dex, and a 13 con. Or you can't be a barbarian.
Talking about this though reminds me of what I got to talk to my Bloodsworth about my character and some abilities I get and his
Bloodworth was in chat.
Really? Oh.
He was just in chat.
Ah. Well,
Knight.
Yeah, good night, Nerdy Ogre. That's a weird way of
saying Nerdy Ogre, you sleep well. Have a good time. I don't plan on being on all night. I might challenge my wife to a game of Agricola. I don't know. It depends how she's feeling about it.
Yeah. The Spell Thief actually has a way of self-healing through just touching magical creatures, I guess.
Huh.
Yeah, you could steal essence.
Huh.
And the other thing is you can actually steal abilities, too.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, what else happened exciting in my game last night? The assassin hit somebody with her demonic dagger, rolled a nat 20, and the person failed the saving throw. So actual shadowy demonic forms came out of the ground, a la Conan the Barbarian, when he was tied down, and snatched that bastard's soul straight to hell.
Oh.
Instant death.
Wow.
I'm telling you, Hyperborea, the magic items that you get are, some of them are like, really? You know, like
crazy. Yeah, it's like the death magic in RuneQuest.
Yeah, is it? And how have you not died in RuneQuest?
I don't know. I've been really lucky. Oh, no, actually, I have died. Yeah, never mind. Sorry.
Okay, because I mean, if you play RuneQuest for more than 6 months,
yeah, you're gonna die.
Odds are you've died. I mean, somebody shot an arrow at you and rolled really, really good, and you're dead.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I ran into the boss room and got punched by the boss and died.
Yeah, it's like Rollmaster. It's like anybody that tells you they played Rollmaster for like years and years and never died, you're like, yeah, whatever.
No, I forgot. It's just I forgot.
I got people in my group when I ran Middle-earth role-playing that killed themselves. So not only did they die, but they accidentally killed themselves. So the monsters didn't even get to kill them.
I almost died by drowning.
Oh, this guy, my best friend that passed, I talk about a lot, Marcus, shot himself with a crossbow. Yeah, you know, and then he had to roll the fumble chart, shot himself through the head. So I was like, well, okay. That was good.
Yeah. I ran into the boss room, and the boss was a vampire. He punched me in the face, and I died.
Yeah, caved your face in for you.
Yeah.
And of course, because this is how old school I am. I've had characters die trying to make characters. Yeah, he self-deleted right in the middle of Moria. They were in Moria fighting orcs at a bridge, and he shot himself in the
There was
face.
another way I died, but I can't remember how I died that time.
So we joked that he did it on purpose because he realized how F they were. So he just was like, but in reality, he went to shoot the guy and he slipped, and the crossbow fell out of his hand, hit the ground on the butt, fired and went up through a chin. It was like, anyway, it's still like, wow.
I know one guy, he talked about one of his players dying by accidentally decapitating themselves.
Now that would be pretty hard, but
Yeah.
I'm sure it could happen.
And then the next character came up and did the exact same thing.
I'll tell you, like Rollmaster, I've only ran a couple of times. And then I've ran against the Dark Master a couple of times, which I actually prefer to Rollmaster. But I ran MERPs, Middle Earth Role Playing, a lot. And it's a numbers game. It's like the more times you fight over the course of a time, the more likely you die.
Yep.
And there's just no other way about it. It's just like, it's going to happen, you know, like some orc or goblin or see, that's what usually kills players too. It's not like they get smashed by a troll. It's like a goblin rolls a nat 100 and then gets like a D crit, and you roll on that D crit and they roll like a 90, and it's like arrow through eyeball, instantly killed. It's like,
what are you gonna do?
You just got killed by like the weeniest monster in the whole of Middle Earth, but dude got lucky with a bow. So there you go. That's just how it is. Fun game, though.
Yeah.
Fun game. But yeah, getting back to people, yes, people should. DM Bloodworth, I think, said he would be running Hyperborea in the future again.
Oh, yeah, I remember now.
At some point. And whoever is in his game group, well, lucky bunch of guys. Because Bloodworth is a good DM and Hyperborea is a good game.
Yeah, James, I remember the second time I died. That was in this trial, and there was a demon that convinced me to drink poison, and somehow I died, but was able to be resurrected, which shouldn't have happened, but I got really lucky.
Yeah, I tend to keep resurrection super rare.
Yeah, well, it wasn't even a matter if it would have been super rare in that situation. What happened was that demon gets people to kill themselves to eat their soul, and somehow it didn't happen that time.
Yeah. Yeah, like for me, if someone dies and the group wants to res them, I generally, instead of saying like in AD&D, this is how I did it. Typically, instead of being like, you need a 5,000 gold piece diamond, which is like, you know, the industry standard. For me, it would be like, you need to carry his body to this caldera, this lake, and the top of a, you know, caldera, you know, volcano that's been dead, and like dip him in it. And don't worry though, because the route there is going to be nothing but just ass.
Yeah.
You know, hill giants and every other thing that just want you dead. So that's how I kind of handled it. I turned resurrection into like this whole
quest.
Yeah, it's a whole quest, man. You know, and you're right about Frostgrave, and I know because I've lost half of my group. It's just it's Frostgrave is that way. The more you fight, the more likely you are to die.
You know what, James? AD&D was more brutal than Dragon Slayer. Dragon Slayer, it's 2,500 gold.
For what?
Resurrection. You need a 2,500 gold diamond.
Yeah, I think AD&D you needed a diamond worth at least 5,000 gold or some shit.
Yeah. Well,
so I mean, how often are you ever going to find a diamond? That's like the Hope Diamond or some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like you're just walking around with like diamonds this big around in your pocket. So my way, actually, at least players had a chance. It was just a really bad chance. You know, like It was like you can get this guy resurrected, but you could die doing it. And if they wanted to go for it, then okay, knock yourselves out, go for it.
But again, I think or Dragon Slayer's a little bit cheap on that because 2,500 gold diamond for how they do loot, it's kind of easy to get that.
Well, maybe Greg Gillespie wasn't trying to be just a total ass to the people who bought to play his game. Maybe he decided, hey,
I know, I get it, but at least there's other things that make it a little bit a bit more harsh because when you get resurrected, there could be consequences to that.
well, definitely you got to make a system shock roll. Your con
Yep.
goes down one,
Yep.
and so basically the whole point of that is the system shock. A lot of people say is like to see if your body can survive being rezzed. I like to think of it as if your character is a good guy, you're in heaven. And when somebody tries to resurrect you, you're in heaven being like, why would I want to go back? You know what I mean? Like,
Why would I want to go back?
it's like, I've served Heronius my whole life. I died a hero. I don't want to go back. I'm staying here. Right?
Yeah.
And because of the con loss, not only does your character get weaker every time they're rezzed, but then your chance of being rezzed keeps going down since system shock's based on con. And you are eventually just going to get to the point where no amount of res is ever going to work. You're just done.
Yeah.
And if you're talking an average person, that would be 9 deaths. But if you have a 9 con, your system shock's pretty low. There's a good chance you're just not going to do it anyway. Yeah. I have decided that I only run Hyperborea these days, and I don't play anything. However, my buddy who is out of town right now, the guy who runs the vampire game, when he comes back, he wants to take over for about a couple sessions to tie up the campaign. Because it's just him as the storyteller. He wants to bring that campaign to an end instead of just leaving it kind of hanging. Personally, I don't really care, but it matters to him, so I'm going to let him do it. Yeah, well, I mean, I am still, Steven, I'm still having a hard time deciding what freaking Hyperborea is actually based on. Because so many people want to tell me it's based on AD&D, but the creator of the game said it was based on OD&D, which would be like basic. So it's like, okay. I mean, I can see how somebody would think it's based on AD&D just because of how similar to AD&D it kind of feels, but then again, it does some things that are definitely not AD&D at all. Like, and I love it. I love it. I love the whole. I love that your turning ability and your thief abilities are all on die 12s. I don't know why I love that, but I love it. You know, like the scout in a group. If he wants to scout, he needs to roll like a 7 out of 12 or some shit. And I don't know why. Maybe it's because I've always felt like the die 12 was kind of like the redheaded stepchild of role playing. You know, like no, it's like there's very few games where the die 12 actually matters. But in Hyperborea, if you've got clerics and thieves in the group, boy, they're wanting to roll those die 12s and they're wanting them low. Unless they're barbarians rolling hit points, in which case they are rolling those die 12s and they want them high. But yeah. And I like how you can have feats of strength and they're on die 6s, and then you can have like exceptional feats of strength or dex or whatever, and that's on a percentage. And like if you have an average strength, it's like 8%. But if you're like a barbarian with a high strength, it's like 40% to do an exceptional feat of strength. And that can mean like ripping a door off the hinges, lifting a portcullis, bending a steel bar, you know. So it like does all that stuff that you want done in just a really simple, easy to deal with way. And initiative's just like a D6 or whatever. So that's definitely not AD&D. That is definitely like never going back to 5e. Coochie, I don't know if you heard the story of when I ran 5e, you'd probably have loved it. But I feel you. I feel you depending on who you played 5e with. Um, and also, like I said to the guys in chat, I may not have actually been running 5e when I said I was running 5e. You know, I mean, the characters were all 100% made by 5e rules, though. It's just everything else. I was just doing it the way I wanted to. Like I said, like Professor Dungeon Master, um, similar to how he did it. But yeah, there's so many systems though in Hyperborea that people are like, oh, that's like AD&D, but it's not. It's not at all like AD&D. I mean, the way thief skills works, nothing like AD&D. The magic is different. The classes, for the most part, are different. I mean, they're similar, but they're different. You know, they do things differently. Like in Hyperborea, pretty much every mage can write spells. Every mage can. They just need the money and materials. Uh, and they can use more than just a couple of stupid weapons too, which is kind of cool. Like I'm looking at the witch here. She can use a blowgun, dagger, a dart, quarterstaff, sling, and whip for some reason.
Well, that's something weird that the arcane thief is like too, because you get like a spiked gauntlet as an arcane thief,
Yeah, like a cestus.
and a cestus, whip,
The
blowgun.
pyromancer gets a dagger, a dart, a falcata, which is the Greek style sword, a morning star, a quarterstaff, a short or long scimitar. Um, I mean, no armor or anything, and die 4 hit points, but can
Heck,
use a sword.
the arcane thief can use a bronze breastplate.
See, that's yeah. None of the mages I don't think can actually use real armor, but almost all of the mages get like a spell. Like the cryomancer has ice armor as a spell, and it gives him an armor class of like 3, which is like the equivalent of heavy armor, you know. So our necromancer, which is my favorite mage subclass, gets the dagger, the dart, the quarterstaff, the sickle, the sling, and a whip. And then you have, and also has alchemy. Every mage gets alchemy. Read magic, scroll use, scroll writing, sorcery, obviously. She gets command undead. And another thing that makes these characters better is they can, every 4th level, they can pick any weapon and have proficiency in it. So, like I was saying, you could make a mage and stick your second highest attribute in dex to get the dex bonus for ranged attacks. And if you make it 4th level, just take longbow.
That's what I did. I well, not that exact bow thing. Although I could use a bow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something. But the thing is, I took Dex as my secondary type of, stat by putting my second highest, roll in that. I mainly want to kind of make my Arcane Thief into a thief, in a way. For skill, I also want to get Camouflage. I want to get the spell Invisibility.
See, the cryomancer can have a hand axe, a dagger, a dart, a horseman's pick, a quarterstaff, or a short spear. And gets a bonus versus cold damage and ice, but is vulnerable to hot heat and fire. Can summon an icicle, which literally they just hold their hand out and an icicle comes out and they hold it. and the icicle generates heat, or not heat, generates light within a 15-foot radius, and can also operate as a single-use dagger. And then he has a spell that allows him to shoot ice bolts. He's got to roll to hit, but if he hits, you know. So I mean, that's the thing. Every single mage is a little different. And then this guy is actually a fighter subclass, the warlock. It's a fighter mage, but when you pick the fighter mage, you choose whether he's a warlock, a death soldier, a fire lord, or an ice lord. So he could be four types of fighter mage. And if he's a death soldier, then obviously he's a fighter necromancer. And that's what I made for myself if I were going to play.
Yeah, I
And
heard you before.
you
It's
get
pretty
one
fun.
spell, and I told you the spell I got was Skeletal
Companion or something like that.
Companion. So,
One thing I like about the Arcane Thief, though, is basically if anybody within 150 feet casts Fireball around me, I can just be like, no, that's mine now.
yeah. Both of you are right. Holmes is just cleaned up OD&D, and then BX is just re-edited Holmes because Holmes did not write the Holmes D&D. He just edited Gary Gygax's OD&D. And then Moldvay and Cook, they did not write Basic and Expert. They didn't create it. They edited it. So they took what Gygax had already wrote and Holmes had already edited and edited a whole different thing. Metzer also edited, but his was so edited, it's almost its own thing. Beckme. But first level wizard with 6 daggers. Yeah, my Roman fighter that I made, he carries 6, or not 6, 3 darts, and they're strapped on the inside of the scutum. And that's actually based on historically, some Romans would actually carry these big ass long dart looking things, and they were kept in like a thing on the shield. So as they'd be in their shield formation, they'd pull those long darts out and they'd whip them. They'd like grab them by the tail, like you did with long darts, and literally just whip them bitches, right? And they had a weighted with a lead ball weighted just behind the pointy spike. And then of course the javelin, the pilum, which was also not designed to actually fight with. It was designed to throw. And then the sword was what they were actually supposed to be fighting with. Because I mean, your pilums, and sometimes they'd carry multiple. They have a.
Okay.
I've explained this before. I know I'm probably repeating to some of you, but they have a hinge lever on them, and it was held sturdy with a wooden peg, and the iron point of it, which would be about this long, 2 feet long, was soft iron. It wasn't tempered steel. And the idea is you chuck that pilum, it hits the enemy shield, goes through it, and then the iron bends all up, and that wooden peg that's holding it stiff together breaks, and now the handle's just flopping around on that hinge. So the theory was it would force whoever you're fighting to drop their shield, because the shield would just become such a burden to even try to use. It was like, yeah, F this shield, throw it away. And now you got a guy fighting in a shield line without a shield. Guess what? He's going to die. I mean, so the whole way the Romans set up their gear and everything was brilliant. It was just absolute brilliant.
I wish that could be implemented in Bannerlord, because that sounds cool.
Yeah, they were.
They do have pilum, they do throw it, but the pilum does not act like that, and that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to double check to see if they had pilums that were designed to actually be like spears or javelins. But the pilums that I know they found were designed they were hinged, and pretty much a lot of the people the Romans fought, they fought with like woven shields, like whether it was like freaking wicker or whatever. They'd weave the shields together. And so those pilums would go right through those woven shields and get all tangled up and just F it all up, right? Whereas your Romans were fighting with these heavy freaking shields. Some of them were actually faced with copper, hammered copper. And riveted and all that. So the chance of like arrows and spears going through a scutum is probably not very good at all. And then the hoplon, which is what the hoplite is actually named after, the big Greek shield, those things were like made out of hardwood, molded, and then covered with hammered bronze. So yeah, I mean, you might get an arrow to stick in that thing, but probably not. And they were 36 inches from rim to rim. And they were the way the handles were on them was offset so that your hand was near the edge and you had a lot of overlap here. And that was to protect the guy on your left. He would be hiding behind the overlap of your shield with his shield protecting the guy on his left.
Yeah,
Again,
it was a bit of
brilliant.
overlapping armor that helped protect the
Well,
group.
the Romans, believe it or not, were not huge fans of the Lorica segmentata. They used it because it was super cheap to make and super quick to make. They didn't like it. They preferred the Lorica hemtata, which is the chainmail.
No, I'm not talking about their armor like that. I'm talking about their shields for overlapping.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Well, if you look at the Romans, because they were shorter than pretty much everyone they fought, look at a Roman Type C helmet, and you'll notice that every bit of their armor and the helmet is designed to deflect a blow coming down.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why, like, your Type C helmet would have almost an inch thick iron bar forge welded across the brow line, so that if a sword hit, it'd skate off that big iron bar. And they had the kick plates in the back to protect them from somebody trying to swing over them. Anyway, we got
Well,
off
like
Hyperborea in a
yeah,
way, but not really because I'm
yeah,
describing
it's part of
a
the
Hyperborean character.
yeah.
Uh,
That sounds like kind of Japanese like helmets too. They had similar style there.
yeah, but the Japanese were weird. They would light incense in their helmets so that if somebody cut their heads off, it would be pleasant for them.
Well, that's Japan for you. They're weird.
That's Japan for you. I mean, if you're going to cut my head off, I want you to not be offended by the smell. But anyway, yeah, Hyperborea is definitely its own game. You can kind of sort of see who its great great grandparents may have been, but I would not say that it has any direct relation to D&D at all. It's too different. Kind of like Adventure Conquer King. You can kind of see the lineage of it, but there's a huge gap in the middle there, and it's like we don't know what was going on in here. But its great great grandpa is definitely D&D of some form of TSR D&D, and Hyperborea is the same way. Whereas like Dragon Slayer, OSE, they are the direct child of OSE of BX, beyond a shadow of a doubt. It's like if you read OSE, you're like, yep, this is the son of BX directly. But Hyperborea, ACK, they got some stuff in the wood pile they don't even know about. But whatever it is, it's good. That's the thing. So you've been having a good time. That's good.
Yep.
The hell is she listening to? Now you hear
I'm
that?
hoping I'm hoping that we'll have a game tomorrow. I'm wondering if Bubba actually got his computer fixed yet.
I don't know. I don't know. I know my bro from Rob's game group had a birthday yesterday.
Nice.
Yeah, but I think he kind of quit YouTube.
Oh,
I don't know if you remember like who Rob's game group even is.
I don't know. I don't think I watched him.
Yeah, he used to do a lot of live plays of him and his group playing D&D or
So yeah, I definitely didn't watch him.
All Flesh Must Be Eaten. He's a good guy. He lives.
He could be. I don't
Well,
watch
no,
live plays.
I'm not saying you don't think he's a good guy, but he and I talk quite a bit. We've sent stuff back and forth. I've helped him out when he wanted to get in 3D printing. He's hooked me up with stuff, and he used to have his own channel, and then he kind of vanished. So I don't know what's up with that, but it was his birthday the other day. So yeah, it sucked because my sister and brother-in-law used to live in the same town as him. And when I found out, I was like, well, the next time I go up there, I'll call you and we'll meet out at a Bennigan's or something and hang out and bullshit around. And he's like, awesome. And no sooner than they moved, not him, but them. So there's no way I can talk my wife into driving 2 states away to, visit somebody she doesn't even know.
Oof.
Yeah. Now, if Vic, the king of the great northern degenerates, moves down here, he'll be about 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
And if he's willing to drive 45 minutes twice in one day to sit at the table with me, he will be.
Fair enough.
I mean, that will happen. And
Now, I know the Tuesday game's still going on, and the Thursday game is going to go on, and most likely the Thursday game's going to be coming every Thursday instead of every other Thursday.
who would that be by?
Bloodsworth, both of them.
Yeah, I know he said something about he was cutting down the number of games, but maybe what he meant is he wasn't going to play as many different games, but he's going to play games more.
Yeah, it sounds like it's more like he's cutting down on the number of different games and just consolidating his time into certain games.
Well, I know that Bloodworth was basically he went through the same thing I went through, except I think he still may be going through it where he was like filling his age. So he's thinking, I will play this game for X amount of months and then move to this game because I've only got about 20 years left and I want to play all the games. And I went through that. But now I'm like, no, I don't care.
Maybe. Well, one thing I do know is that he's been having trouble with the Thursday games because you know how it is.
Yeah.
Thursday is kind of a cursed day for gaming, apparently.
Yeah, that's someone else said that. Not you, but someone else was saying Thursdays. I've never gamed on a Thursday, so I don't know, but I believe it.
Yeah,
I've only ever gamed on Wednesdays and weekends.
The Shadows game kind of fell apart, it seems like.
Well, from what I understand, some of the people who were playing in one of his games just did not care for the rules that much. I think it was the Savage Sword game. A lot of the players were just not fond of the rules.
So again, the Thursday game, the Deadlands game, is now down to most likely a 2-person game.
Well, the good thing about that is if Bloodworth wants to run it, you can.
Yeah.
Deadlands is one of those games that you could literally run for 1 or 2 people.
Yeah, but you have to know that you're running.
The whole idea of the wandering gunslinger, I mean, that's...
Yep.
Right?
One thing is, though, you have to know that you're running for those 2 people. 1 or 2 people.
Am I around the Freeport area? No, I am in the middle of Orlando, if you're talking to me. Yep.
Yeah.
The big orange, I guess. Orlando. Metro Orange County. Well, if he's near to South Orlando and he's a good guy, you could always put him in touch. And we could talk about it. And then I would talk to my group. And if they were comfortable with it, especially my wife, since I play at my dining room table, which is really her dining room table, then that could be a thing. That would bring me up to 8 or 9 players.
Good number for a game.
Well, I would never want to run 8 or 9 players for like any game other than like a D&D game.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine? Well, okay, you don't really run games, but I can't really imagine trying to run a Traveler game with like 9 players or Shadowrun. And I'm just thinking of games that I've actually
bogged down and long. It'd probably be very drawn out on some of these games.
Can you imagine trying to run Deadlands with 9 people?
No, that would be
That's not
running
a group of adventurers. That's like a platoon.
Yeah.
Oh, way up in North Florida? Yeah. No, I'm definitely a couple hours away from that.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm 3 hours from Jacksonville, if that helps at all. I'm about an hour and a half from Tampa.
Platoon or a
So,
gang, James. That 9 players is like a gang at that point.
yeah, that would be like we are a gang of rustlers or deputies, and we're out hunting gangs of shit. It's like, see, the games I've set aside for if I ever got down to one or two players would be, well, one, Blade Runner. I've got everything for Blade Runner over here, Fiery Angels and all that. So Blade Runner would be a game that would actually be awesome for a one or two player game. Because if you think about the Blade Runner movies, how many of the people in the movies would you consider the protagonist?
One, maybe 2 people.
One, maybe two. And generally, I would say just in the first Blade Runner, I'd say two, Rachel and Deckard. And in the second Blade Runner movie, just one, Kay.
Yeah.
Unless you want to count Joy. But really, can you
Yeah,
count
that
Joy?
no, not really.
Not really. So, yeah. So Blade Runner would be an awesome single player game. Top Secret or Top Secret SI would be an awesome single or double player game because you're playing a spy. And anyone who's ever watched any spy movies know James Bond does not roll onto the scene with like 8 dudes.
No, usually a chick.
Yeah, it's Bond and maybe some hot chick he plans on sleeping with at some point.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, there are some games that you could definitely do single player. I would never try to throw any player into a single player Hyperborea game. They just get murdered. Even if you tried to, even if you tried to like lower the threat of everything for one player, they're still going to get wrecked. It's
Yeah.
just the way it's going to happen. It's like, see, fantasy role playing games, and I would say that's one of the reasons they're so popular and always have been, is because they require
A
teamwork,
group. A team.
right? When I was 13 and I had BX, yeah, you would never try to play that with one player. Get out of here. You at least need like three. Hell, the one time me and my brother played two players with the DM, we both died within 15 minutes of the game start. And my death was so ignominious, ignoble, whatever the word is, that I remember it to this day because of how much it was, how stupid it was. I was playing an elf named Elron because, I was 13. So cut me a break. And I walked into a door and fell down a pit trap and died. And I was like, wow, I guess I'll make a new character. Yeah, but when I played D&D, Stephen, there have been nights here I've ran 12 people in AD&D, and the combats went quick. Everyone was happy. Everybody had a good time because one, I play with the grid and I throw miniatures down. I know a lot of people look down on that, but whatever.
I don't. I
And
like it.
when you play that way, as long as you keep the players going, and I have this thing where if a player's taking too much time, I'll start singing the Jeopardy song at them. The dun 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 dun
Yeah,
dun
I know.
dun dun. And if I get through that before they tell me what they're doing, guess what?
Their turn skipped.
You're skipped. And you skip somebody once or twice at the table, boy, they straighten the F up quick.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I had 12 people at the table fighting all kinds of stuff. AD&D first edition rules, and we played for like 5 hours, and they must have fought 10 different combats easily. They were just fighting everything all over the place, just running around. Were they being a little bit murder hobo-y? Yes, they were, but a lot of them were new to the game, and they were playing AD&D. So, I mean, you get what you get, right? Now, my wife bought me this game that came with this little like sand dial thing, the little What do they call that? Leth, help me out here.
Shoot,
It's got the sand in it, and
I
it
know,
times.
I know what you're talking about, but as soon as I tried to think of the name, it just
Same thing. I had the name, and then all of a sudden I'm like, duh. And if I have to, I will break that thing
hourglass.
out. Yeah, I will break that thing out and put it at the table. It's like a 10-second hourglass thing.
Yeah.
And if somebody starts acting slow, I'll throw that bitch on the table and just stare at them. And they got, and you know what happens when you do that? They always end up skipping.
Yeah.
Because when you actually put that kind of pressure on a player when they already don't know what the hell they want to do, most of the time they just fall apart. But the next time it's their turn, they're going to do something. And as you know, Rommel always said, if you don't know what to do in any particular situation, find the enemy and kill it. And I
But
think Patton said something very similar too. Like, if you don't know what to do, just engage the enemy and whip his ass. So, I mean, that should be a truism for role players too.
you know what I have to say?
What?
Rommel, you magnificent bastard! I read your book.
I read your book. Yeah. I love that movie. I love the speech when he comes out in front of the American flag.
Yeah.
No bastard ever won a war by dying for his country. You win by making the other poor son of a bitch die for his country, right? And when he looks at me, he's like, "My God, I almost feel sorry for those poor son of a bitches." You know, he's talking to the troops. We've got the best soldiers, the best food or
He's
chow,
not wrong.
the best equipment.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, we're going to kick those dirty Hun bastards' asses. We're going to grab them and just kick their asses back to Berlin.
Hey, James, you know what? The Japanese knew they were going to lose the war.
Probably when that first nuke went off.
No, it was when they first captured one of our supplies and saw ice cream in it.
Oh, well, yeah, yeah. Well, unless you're talking about the one guy, he knew they were going to lose the war the second they attacked Pearl Harbor.
That was
They're like,
Yamamoto.
yeah, we
He's like,
fucked up.
well, we fucked up. I got about 6 months of fighting this war, and then we're just gonna lose.
Yeah.
Like
And
maybe
I
I could
forget
extend.
which German officer it was, but he said he knew they lost the war when he walked out of the Reichstag, and there were like American Mustang fighters flying over Berlin, and he's like, "Yeah, we're done. I mean, we're cooked. It's
But
over."
I'm not kidding though. A lot of the soldiers kind of realized they were gonna lose when they saw the amount of ridiculous like rations we had for the American troops.
Well, I mean, I know we're getting off topic, but that's what
Yeah.
Stalin said after the war. He said, America is a nation that makes things without which we never would have won this war.
Yeah.
Because people always, I mean, you can't forget the fact that the Russians paid in blood. They lost millions of people. But by the time they got their shit together and actually started winning battles, they were wearing American coats, American boots. They were eating American spam. Half of them were in American made tanks. They were freaking firing American ammo out of their stupid Russian freaking rifles. Pretty much, we shipped so much supplies to them.
Yeah, they wouldn't have won without those supplies either.
Well, the thing is, if it hadn't been for us stepping in, they would have been starving to death.
Yes.
I mean, the Germans may have actually pushed into Moscow, at which point Stalin had already planned to shoot himself in the head and be done with it, you know? So, we were shipping it all up from the Middle East. And then it was going up into the Caucasus and then being distributed out. But anyway, 9 players at a con I've never ran 9 players at a con. When I ever ran D&D at a con, Steven, it was always 6 players and I was running tournament. So we had like 6 tables, I believe 6, maybe 7, and there was like 6 players in each group, and they got to play through the adventure, and then they got scored based on how far did they get, which monsters did they kill, how much gold did they get, did any of them live or not. I think we were running, I want to say White Plume Mountain, but it may not have been. It may have been the stupid one with the devil face too. Shit, I was like 20, and that was when these older guys that were history teachers at local school, they were buddies with me, even though they were like 30 years older. And so whenever they ran the tournament, I would always end up either running tournament D&D games, demoing 40K, BattleTech. I would be one of the judges for the paint competitions, um, which was always funny because I'd always be like, these guys all paint way better than me, but I'm the one here judging. It's like, whatever. It's like I'm judging a miniature that I could only dream of, even today, painting as good as.
Well, you know
Because some of
what?
the guys that showed up to those tournaments, they were like Golden Demon level painters,
You know,
right?
James, those who can't do, judge.
I guess. I guess that's kind of what it was. And I was just like, but the 12 player game though, Steven, was not on purpose. We had like 8 players in the AD&D game. We'd been running Greyhawk. Everything was going great. And then a bunch my nephews and nieces showed up. It was my nephew, my niece, brother and sister, and they both have husband or wives. And they all showed up on game night. And I would have called the game off, but most of the actual other players were already there. So it's like, well, we really can't call the game off because that would be rude. These guys are here waiting the game. So I just said, do you guys want to play? And they're like, yeah. And I picked characters out of the back of one of the adventures. You know how they have the pre-gen characters. I showed them the pre-gen characters, and I'm like, pick the one you want. And they did. And they wrote it down because you know how AD&D is. You can write your character down on a pretty good size index card if you really want.
I think you can
And
do
they
that
sat
with a
down and
lot
we
of
started
games.
playing, man.
I mean,
Refereed a bunch of the D&D. Yeah, we were talking about that. Everyone in the Kissimmee, Orlando area was playing that game. I played that game where you put together war bands with the cards and you duked it out across the dungeon or whatever. And then one day, it's still available, but now it's owned by Paizo. Uh, and I'll be honest with you, the Paizo miniatures are way better,
you
way
know,
better.
James, my character sheet for RuneQuest is done in a notepad.
See, RuneQuest, I would always want a character sheet just because of how you have to add like the strength and then the attribute and then the racial ability and then armor and modifier and then whatever the skill was, blah blah blah. I mean, no, I'm thinking Rollmaster, aren't I?
Yeah, that's Rollmaster because RuneQuest is just a percentile based game. You have your
Right.
skills and they're just percentiles. There's no adding anything up.
Yeah, I'm thinking Rollmaster where like dwarves automatically get like a bonus to axes and whatever, right? So, but AD&D or BX, I mean BX especially, you could roll a character up on a standard index card and have everything you ever needed to know about that character forever. And if you got really special with it, you might have to write some shit on the back, but like,
I think the one thing that takes up the most space that I needed was probably for the skills and inventory. Inventory got kind of big.
which doesn't exist in frickin' AD&D or OD&D or
Yeah,
BX. Well, inventory does, but I
yeah,
mean,
inventory does, but
when you're making a
not the
starting
skill.
character, it's like name, race, class, SDCIWC, number, bonus, and then if you're a thief, you would have like instead of putting the full name, it'd be like CW, climb walls, and then like MS, HS, hide shadows, move silently, whatever, and just
Mm.
put the number there, and then your saving throws, and then your gear, and pretty much that's it. Armor class, hit points, and THACO, and you're done. Literally, the character's on a card that big.
You know what's
And,
funny?
no, what?
In the last session of of Dragon Slayer we played, my cleric got to sneak up on some gargoyles.
Got to sneak up on what?
Gargoyles.
Huh.
I clung to the ceiling, and when the gargoyles came in the room, I jumped down behind one and attacked him from the back.
Ah, so you're that kind of guy, are you? I don't know if that's funny or not, but it's clever. Um,
I think it's
but,
funny that I
but yeah.
acted more like a thief than a cleric. On
So
that
typically,
thing.
anytime you hear me talking about running a game, if there's more than 10 people in the game, 10 or more people, I should say, it's because at the last minute, visitors came over, and instead of ending the game, we decided to just invite them into the game. And that game was hilarious too because the my nephew was playing a thief acrobat, and the um, my niece was playing a ranger, and she fired into combat, even though I warned her that she would have to random who got hit, right? And she fired into combat and shot her own brother 3 times in a row, including a nat 20 for one of them. And so she didn't kill him, but she damn near did. He was like, stop shooting me. And she's like, I'm sorry.
Please
But
stop
in
from
AD&D,
dying.
that's how it worked. If you fired ranged weapons into a combat, you random who got attacked.
Yeah.
And then, you rolled to see if you actually hit, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Dragon Slayer's a little bit more lenient on that. You only
right.
you only hit your ally if you roll really low on your
Well, that
attack.
was kind of a house rule. It was like if you attack into a combat and you roll a 1, then you hit a friend.
Yeah.
That was kind of like a house rule for a while that AD&D players did because they didn't like the whole. Because let's say you fire into an engagement and it's like 2 orcs versus a friend of yours, right? Well, you got a 2 in 6 chance of hitting your friend. You see what I mean? Because you have an equal chance of hitting anyone engaged in that combat, that melee. And so when you're firing at one guy fighting an ogre, even if the DM's feeling really, really generous and letting you have more of a chance of hitting the ogre than that one guy, it's still like a 2 in 6, if not a 50-50 shot either way.
Yeah.
And so people learn pretty quick. Yeah, don't go firing into combats because, and the reason is because Mr. Gary Gygax envisioned a melee combat as being a swirling melee where everyone is moving at all times,
I could see
ducking and
that.
weaving, thrusting and feinting. And so it's not like you can just say, I'm shooting at that guy and fire, because by the time the arrow leaves the bow, everyone's moving. And God only knows who's going to be standing in the wrong spot at the right time.
I know how that feels. Bannerlord taught me that one well.
Right. I mean, people don't seem to remember that because it's so much easier when you're playing the game to think statically.
Yeah.
And this is something that 40K does stupidly too. Like they used to have a rule like if any part of your miniature could be seen, then it could be shot, which meant everyone tucked the back banners off of their sergeants so that you couldn't see the back banner. Um, and I hated that because I always was like, this group of trees, right? Is it literally only these 6 trees? There's no brush? Or do you expect me to model a bunch of brush in the trees? Because if you don't model the brush in the trees, then somebody can shoot right through the trees at your figure if they can draw a line of sight. So it's like, why even have it, right? And that's why if you look at 40K games during a certain period of time, all the terrain was buildings. Because, you can't shoot through a wall. But in the beginning, when trees were considered area terrain, it basically meant if your model was more than an inch within the trees, couldn't be targeted, but couldn't shoot out either. And I prefer that. That's my preferred method of
Yeah, I can see what you're
Like in
saying there.
BattleTech, it's kind of that way. If you're in a forest and you're trying to target an enemy mech, but you have to draw a line of sight through like 3 hexes of woods, forget about it. The negative penalties are going to make it impossible to ever hit.
Yeah, it's like
So you're
Star
just
Wars.
not going
Star
to
Wars
do it.
had in Legion they had heavily obscured if you're shooting through a forest trees like that.
I absolutely hate true line of sight. I
Yeah,
think it's the stupidest shit ever. Sometimes you need to be able to put a thing down, like I use like colored green felt cloth, put all the trees on it you want, and just say the cloth represents the footprint of the forest. The trees are just there to make it look good. You don't actually need them. And
yeah.
then that way, when you move your mech or whatever through, if you have to move trees out of the way to position the mech where it actually is, you can. Or your Marines or whatever. I mean, area terrain is obviously the way to go, but people are stupid. So I am painting up some Reaper. I don't know what the hell these are. I think they were called Dread Wolves, and it looks like a wolf, but it's got 6 legs.
Oh dang, that's scary.
Almost, if it were a cat, I would call it a Wampus cat. I don't know if you guys know about Wampus cats. That's mostly Eastern Kentucky, Northern Carolina thing.
Yeah, I don't think we know anything about those.
Well, the story is a female Cherokee person, woman, squaw, whatever, um, wanted to spy to see what the shamans were doing. And the shamans told her not to look at what they were doing because they were doing shaman stuff. And she went and looked anyway, and they caught her. So she got cursed and become the Wampus cat,
Hmm.
which looks like a panther but has 6 legs and prefers to kill and eat men over women and children. So some people will say a Wampus cat won't actually kill children or a female, but will kill men because that Cherokee woman, the first Wampus cat, fucking hates men because they made her a Wampus cat.
Hmm.
Now, that's not a white boy story. The Cherokee told that shit. Have I ever seen a Wampus cat? No, don't expect to. Don't think it's a real thing, but it is like anywhere the Cherokee might have journeyed in that region, you hear about Wampus cat. But anyway, yeah, I don't even know what these are. I will have to look through my Hyperborea referee book to see if there's any kind of weird wolves or something that this could be. I do know I'm painting them ruddy fur color, which is that reddish fur color,
Hmm.
because I like it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to head off here though. I'll see you.
Well, it is getting a little late. You go ahead and do your thing. I'm heading off, I think, in about 12 minutes.
Okay. Nice talking to you.
It's always nice talking to you, Tim. There's goes Olathodus. Actually, very young, but he has been out, and I respect that. But yeah, Stephen, I used to love those minis, and for a long time, every year at Christmas, my wife would buy me a cake. Uh oh. Issues. What's your issue? Riding up trains and doing stuff. Conjunction, junction. What's your misfunction? So, oh, I'm back. So, yeah. My wife bought me tons of those. I liked them, and then I gave them all to my brother because I had too many of them. I had like one of those Cambros, like they use in restaurants to store stuff, like the really big plastic Cambro containers. And that thing was full of the pre-painted D&D or Paizo miniatures. I mean, full. And I eventually was like, yeah, this shit's got to go. I got too much of it. I'm not using most of it. But I have showed you this. This is one of those. I cut it off the base and put it on a different base because I've been known to do that. Like I'll get a pre-painted miniature that I really like and cut it off the base and rebase it, and all of that sort of stuff. Why? Who knows? Because I'm weird like that. Like I think I showed you the spear woman the other day. This lady right here. This was my wife's 5e cleric. The whole time she played, and it's just a pre-painted cleric that I took off the other base and put on a base that I could magnetize. And over here, I don't know if you've seen it, I've got a big metal 3-level thing. So a lot of times my magnetized miniatures, I just stick to it and let them hang out there for a bit. But yeah, my table right now is just full of the minis because I had took all the minis I thought we might use tonight in the dungeon, and I set them up in boxes to be ready because I hate forcing the players to wait any length of time to, while I'm setting a battle up. I want to have it like that, right? And because, again, I say speed is of the essence. If the players find themselves sitting there waiting too long for you to set up the battle or find a rule or something like that, it's my opinion that, well, I'll tell you what I do. If I have to look a rule up and it takes me more than 30 seconds to find the rule, I apologize to the players right up front. I tell them right up front, I say, I'm very sorry that this is going on. Bear with me. Go get a drink. I'm only looking this rule up because it's important. It matters. It could be life or death. If it's not a life or death thing, really the only thing you got to do to keep your players happy in that situation is make sure your ruling is consistent from one game to the next. So if you decide that something happens, if they roll high on a die, whatever, just stick with it. You'll be fine. And then if you find out you've been doing it wrong because you finally found the rule in the book, then before the next game, sit down and tell the players, hey, I looked in the book and it turns out I was doing this wrong. This is how it actually works. And then they'll be like, well, okay, cool. And then you keep playing, right? But if you have to delay the game for more than 30 seconds, yeah, I apologize. I tell them, I'm sorry. I should have had my shit together better. Like tonight, that happened. And it happened because of a really weird situation, mainly the duel that was getting ready to go down, and the fact that the player character was trying to use an item that forced a morale check. And and it could have been a big deal. Like it wasn't something so easy to be like, okay, blah, I had to know the rule. And I found it, and then I explained the rule, and then they were like, okay, and then everyone was happy, and shit worked out for the players anyway. So that's probably why they were happy, because in the end, it worked out for them anyway. But yeah, so I'm not an asshole as far as like when I was saying I time players and I will skip them. And sometimes, depending on how I'm feeling, I skip them to the end because we generally roll initiative for the whole group. And then we start at the left and go around table. So if I skip this guy over here, I might wait to the very end and let them go. Unless they do a lot, in which case I say, yeah, you just don't get a turn this round, right? And because I insist the players have their shit together and tell me what they're going to do within an amount of time, I feel like it is only polite to grant them the same respect is really what it is, you know? I mean, I run the game. Ultimately, I am the final say, arbiter, whatever, of the rules. But that doesn't mean that I get to treat the players like they're a bunch of schmoes, right? Like I'm the DM, and that means you guys are a bunch of schmucks, and you got to put up with me being a shithead. But I don't owe you anything, and if you f up, I'm just going to hold your feet to the fire. I mean, to quote my pops, that is not the behavior of a mensch. A mensch would not do that. You know, if you want to be a mensch in life, which you should, and it's just a German word that means man, you know, mensch. But in Yiddish, it means way more than just man. It means like a good, respectable, dependable man. That's a mensch. If you're not a good, respectable, dependable man, you're a schmuck. And anywho, because my pops speaks Yiddish and Russian and Hebrew, or what they call Hebrew. It's actually just fake, but that's a whole nother story, right? So yeah, I'm not going to be an asshole to my players, but then expect them to forgive me when I f up. That's not only being a bad GM, that's being a bad human being. And I know that I'm a pretty horrible human being, but I do try not to be. That is true. I do give it the old college try not to be a shithead all the time. I mean, sometimes it's just going to be that way, but I try not to be, you know. So, yeah, I should probably do a little video and just say what I just said, or maybe cut that part out and make an actual video out of it about, you know, step one, don't treat your players like a bunch of assholes. You know, step two, make sure that they go in a prompt, timely manner, not because of you, but because if some players take it forever to go, they're effing everyone else up. So it's not even about me. I can sit there all day and wait for somebody to choose what they want to do, but the other players are not going to like that. They're going to get pissed, right? Because they're going to be like, well, I know what I want to do. I want to run up and smack the orc in the head with my great hammer, but I got to wait for this schmuck over here who can't seem to figure out his ass from a hole in the ground, right? So yeah, it's not even about me. I'm not enforcing that rule because I care. I'm enforcing that rule because there's 8 people at the table, and it's my job to make sure everybody gets to go. And if I'm the one making it where people have to wait, then it's my job to apologize too. That's right. That's fair, right? I think everybody can agree that that's fair. That's just yeah, that's just being a good person. Like, see, I'm going to mention my bro, who I may actually join tomorrow. It just depends on when I wake up or not. Shadow sometimes will say how, as the DM, he calls all the shots. He's basically the god of the world, blah, blah, blah. And that is actually a philosophy a lot of DMs have, and maybe even a philosophy I had when I was very young. But it's not a philosophy I would ascribe to now. You know, like I might have told my kids when they're young, do this because I'm your dad and I told you, but I wouldn't tell a bunch of 30-plus-year-old people that, you know, do this because I'm the DM and that's just the way it is. And I don't have to explain anything to you. Now, some people will say, well, you know, you want the power in the DM's hand. And I would say, true. The power is in my hand. I am the final arbitrator of everything. But as I keep trying to reinforce, that don't mean you're a dick. You know, you don't get to just to tell somebody you do what I say or else. I mean, nobody likes that. I would be pissed if I was playing a game and some rules thing came up and I was like, how's it? And the guy was like, just do what I say or else. I'd be like, or else what? You know, I mean, let's not be this way. You know, that's not a good way that we want to be, is it? No, of course not. So now, on the other hand, I do not like when players are constantly looking through the player's book, trying to find some way to prove me wrong at something either. That doesn't work out for anybody either. I mean, because I'll be like, what are you doing? You just trying to be disruptive, you know? Depending. I do have a couple of rules lawyers at the table, but when they find a rule that I'm trying to figure out, they're actually cool about it. They're like, hey, on this page, it says this. And I'll be like, thank you. Awesome. The game moves on because, like you said, Steven, I'll tell you what, Steven, you and me, man, we are quickly, I think somewhere in this whole conversation about Hyperborea, you and me become best friends. You know, like in Step Brothers, dude, I think we just become best friends. Or was that Idiocracy? You like women and money? I think we're best friends now. But anyway, yeah, it's like it's a game. We're there to have fun, but that don't mean you're a dick. And it doesn't mean anyone else can be a dick. And this is the reason I don't play online right here. Because people who play online tend to not respect the time of everyone else at the table, right? But if you play in real life, then everyone is kind of forced to respect everyone else's time at the table. And yeah, so that's the thing. And I also think that's why 5e games tend to only go like 2 to 6 adventures or some shit. The whole campaign is like 6 adventures, and that's why Bloodworth has problems. That's why all the people who predominantly game online have problems. And the point of the matter is, it's like, the rule. People will say any sort of monstrous shit online, right? Because of the anonymity of, so if they want to get on there and talk a bunch of crazy shit, I mean, you're not sitting in front of them. They don't give a shit about you, whatever, right? And unfortunately, gaming online with people you don't know in real life is no different. It's like, yeah, that is my opinion. If you think I'm wrong, you can argue with me and say, I think you're wrong, bro. But that is my opinion. Now, if you're gaming online with friends of yours that moved away, that's probably a totally different thing. Yeah, consistency. Well, what I always used to say when I used to actually give DM advice, and then I stopped because I realized who the F am I to really give anybody advice on anything? So I guess what I'm saying is I learned a little humility, even though I will sometimes say I'm the greatest uh, dungeon master that to ever live. But usually when I say that, I'm kind of trolling. But if any of my players were online, when I said it, they would all agree because we're a tight knit little group of nerds, right? I don't do that, and it's because the whole, like I said, I'll just be repeating myself, but you know, when you play online with people you don't know, no one has or feels any obligation towards the game or anyone else. When you play in real life, my experience is people do feel an obligation, you know? Like if my wife sends a message out and says, "Hey, we are getting together tonight to game," and people start hitting up, we have our own private little message thing, and people start hitting back with like, "Yeah, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there." Then all of the players see everyone's going, and it inspires them to want to go, even if they weren't feeling it. They're like, well, shit, everyone else is going, so why would I want to be the dick that doesn't go, right? pretty much. And yeah, that's pretty much it right there. And the virtual tabletops, they kill that. They kill it. So I do play with people who play online with me, and it's my brother because he lives in Tennessee, but he really wants to continue playing in the game we play. So I let him log on to Discord. And that has forced me to learn to make sure to talk to him specifically because, and I've said this before, it's really easy when you've got like 7 people screaming at you and one guy on Discord to ignore the guy on Discord and just do whatever you're doing. So I've had to learn to be really conscientious about that guy on Discord and make sure he gets a say in what's going on. But I don't know if I could handle doing that with 6 people on Discord, especially if I don't know them. You know, it would be like trying to play a role playing game over text or freaking Twitter or something. I just don't know how that works, man. And then again, we get back to the why do so many 5e campaigns die after 6 games? Well, I think I figured it out. I might have figured it out, guys. Maybe it's because everyone's playing online with people they met online, and the people they met online really don't give an F about the game. It's like they're just bored and they're like, yeah, I'll play the game with you. But then the second anything else happens in real life, they're like, yeah, F that game. I'm going to go, play circle jerk with my bros in real life. You almost can't even like blame them because it's like, well, real life friends, right? Yeah, I think that's enough of that screed. I would call that a screed. And that's just the thing. Unfortunately, though, Shadow doesn't have a choice because he refuses to let anyone into his house, pretty much. So, not really going to get a lot of people coming around the house to play D&D if you refuse to let anyone in the house. That's just the way that one goes, buddy. And I don't even know that I blame him. I'm just pretty comfortable because I always I vet everyone that comes into my house, and between you and I'm always armed. Like if you look behind me, you see that folding chair? Look really close at that folding chair and see what you actually see. I'll wait. And when you're always like I am, then it becomes a lot easier to trust people. You know what I mean? It's really easy to trust somebody if you know you can smoke their ass in 2 seconds if they get out of hand, right? But for those of you who can't really see it that well, that is a AR in 300 blackout with an ACOG. And then I've also got my Smith & Wesson Hellcat in here too. And then in my bedroom, I've got a couple other things. So, yeah. It's like that joke where the cop pulls the old lady over and she asks, the cop asks the old lady if she's armed, and the old lady says, yeah, I'm armed. And he says, with what? And she starts pulling guns out of like the glove box and the freaking center console in her purse. And the cop's like, damn, old lady, why you got all these guns? What are you afraid of? And the old lady looks the cop right in the face and says, not a damn thing. You know what I'm saying? That's a Southern joke. Anyone from like, one of the big northern states is, well, East Coast, West Coast, because we all know our boys in Dakota and Montana. They know. They get it. They're like, yep, totally get that. I mean, that's why I'm always the way I am with the Canadians. It's like, bros, You live in a country where you can get ate by a bear or trampled by a moose, and they're trying to take away your ability to not get ate by that bear. That seems a little bit uncool, man. You know, but I say that having been to Alaska, and it's like, yeah, once you get north into Alaska toward the central part of Alaska, like up near the upper part of Eagle River, right? If you walk out on the river or out in the woods without a firearm, it's almost like if it's like if you were up there and I was your neighbor and you went walking around unarmed and you got ate by like a bunch of wolves or a bear or something, I'd almost be like, it's like, yeah, I guess I would still feel bad, but I would also be like, well, that sucks. What a dumbass. That's a fact, Stephen. A lot of people have had zero training. They don't keep up with it and whatever. But even if, I will say this though, even if you don't regularly go to the range with your Glock 19, it is my opinion you're still better off having it on you if shit hits the fan than not. I mean, because it's the difference of maybe having a slim chance of doing something or just having zero chance and sorry about your luck. So, yes, always, 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 I would suggest training. But even if you can't, you're still better off with it than without. And there's a lot of training you can do at your house. Like I've got for the AK, it's a 5.45. I've got one of the laser, the bullets that you put in it, and they shoot a laser out of it, so I can actually, on the inside the house, I could set a target up and see where I'm aiming with it, right? And I use that when I need to zero in, a new optic or something. You put that in there, then you can adjust the optic until the X is on the red dot, and you know that what you're looking at is where it's going. And that's handy. That's good. I like that. But between you and me, and I've said this a million times, my go-to for self-defense is my 870. And I keep that thing loaded up with double lock buck. So front sight life member. Um, yeah, with my 870, that's kind of the deal. Look down the top of it and put the bead on wherever I'm trying to go with it, and count on the fact that it's sending just a shit ton of 32 caliber rounds downrange. Um, but for long range fire, I kind of want something a little bit more precise, right? And so that's just how that is with me. Like my hunting rifle, I probably zero that thing in all the time, and I do it the same way as with the AK. I've got the 7.62 round that you turn it on and it'll shoot a laser down the bore. So Remington 700, put that in there to lock it in, and then sight the thing in, and good to go, man. Good to go. Just keep it clean. And one thing I'm super happy about going to visit my mom in Kentucky about is the property I own up there. I own 30 acres up there, and we have a gun range. On you got look at you. You got money, man. I ain't got that kind of money. I bought my Remington 870 tactical for like $250, like years ago, brand new in the box. It's like, now, do I like the Benellis? Fuck yeah, dude. Like that Spots 12, like in freaking Terminator, that freaking thing. Man, make me have some very uncomfortable dreams about that thing. But I just ain't got it laid out like that, man. I guess if I stopped buying miniatures, I could probably buy any firearm on the planet. I'm not even joking. If I would just stop buying Reaper and paint and all the other stuff, yeah, I could probably, because my dream rifle is a Scar S1 or a Scar H1. And if I were to stop buying a single miniature for BattleTech or any other thing, see, this is a BattleTech miniature. I'm putting like a camo thing on. Then I'll get the tires. Um, if I never bought another BattleTech figure or another figure for like D&D or whatever, Legion Imperialis, I probably could have owned that Scar 5 years ago, at least 6 years ago. And then, of course, I had money saved, and I was about halfway there to getting it, and then I had to pay taxes because the government can, whatever, right? Freaking government taking all my money that I was saving up to try and buy a badass Belgian-made Belgian-made rifle. I mean, what are you going to do? To be honest, I don't really need it. Like the Scar is just a dream rifle because it's so badass. But between the AR, which I have two uppers for, so I can fire two different rounds out of it, the AK, and I have so many spam cans for that. Forget about it. I'll never run out of ammo for that thing. Because 10 years ago, when ammo was dirt cheap, I bought so many spam cans of Belgian surplus ammo. It was like whatever, man. It was like $150 for a spam can, and a spam can had like 1,140 something rounds in it. So, and then of course the 12 gauge and the Remington 700. I've got the 870 and 700. I got a 22. I got a Glock 19, a Glock 21, and a Smith and Wesson Hellcat. So do I need another rifle? No. Yeah, that's what my pops would say too. It don't grow on trees, man. So, and then of course, like yesterday before game night, I was out in the yard. I mean, owning a house is awesome, but it's constant work. And I think that's what some people don't understand. And I'm not saying people shouldn't want a house. Obviously, get property as soon as you can, right? But don't think you're going to get a house and it's going to be easy street, because there's probably not 2 days that go by that I'm not out fixing the air handler, or replacing something, or doing something, installing a new mailbox, or I mean, but that's the price you own to have your own place that you can sit around in and talk shit, right? Is just constant work. Like when my garbage disposal went out last year, I couldn't call like the freaking the guy I was renting from, because I'm not renting, and be like, my freaking thing doesn't work. No, I had to go on YouTube and learn how to remove a broken freaking garbage disposal, buy a new one, and install it, which includes a little bit of wiring and a little bit of plumbing, and you know, when some idiot runs over my sprinkler heads and busts them in the ground, yeah, that's me out there digging that shit up. Got to close up shop now. Well, you close up shop, I'm leaving too. Actually, I was supposed to go 18 minutes ago, but we got chatting about stuff. One thing I will always chat about is my opinions on firearms and Kentucky and Hyperborea. For whatever reason, those things I'm always willing to have opinions about. Politics, not so often. I mean, I know I talk about it, but I'd rather not. And then, yeah, leave it there. So, everyone who did pop in to say hi, hi, and thank you for popping in. And this is what these weird six-legged wolves look like, base colored. I need to do the stone they're on, paint their eyes. I'm thinking red, like a really glowy red, and do their teeth. Uh, Worked in the trades, same. When I got out of the army, I went right into being a laborer for a block mason company for years. And then I got on with underground utilities for the local city. And while I was working full time in underground utilities, I went to uh, uh, police fire academy full time at night. So I was doing my job during the day and fire academy at night. And then I become firefighter. So yeah, why did I say police? I can actually spin this around. See the black helmet back there? That's my. When you retire out, sometimes your crew will give you your helmet. That's my helmet hanging there. And that thing under it that looks like a sword, that is a cold iron training sword. So it's like a really hardcore, like super dense plastic. You were a framer? Yeah. You and I could sit here and I could go off on how I think that young men should be forced to either join the military or get a job in construction or something when they're young, but no one gives a shit what I think. So I'll talk to you when I talk to you next. I mean, Monday, I always stream Mondays. Every other day of the week, it just depends. But Monday is the day. So if you're around Monday night, afternoonish, nightish, we'll talk. And that goes for everyone else. Monday is the big night. So peace and love to all of you. If you thought anything I said was good, then awesome. If you think I'm a total jackass, hit me up in the comments and tell me about it. And we'll leave it there.